What does Richard Harvey, a recent power player in the city of London, have to do with this man, a farmer in Ghana? Beyond the environmental devastation, beyond the human poverty, they both see the development potential for growing business in Africa. Hi, I'm Louisa, and I'm in Ghana, West Africa, a country on the front line of climate change. Now, this is where Richard Harvey, the former CEO of Aviva, is spending a week out of his year-long travels to some of the African continent's most challenged regions. He's let us come along for the ride. These are the red dirt roads of Ghana's Upper West region, the youngest of the country's 10 regions and also the poorest. These are the roads Richard Harvey and I will travel over the next few days. The communities we'll visit to discover firsthand the challenges and the opportunities in this final frontier of emerging markets.
It's just a besetting problem. Why is it still as difficult here as it was 20 years ago? Ghana and Malaysia had the same living standards 20 years ago. Now Malaysia is 13 times better off on average per person than Ghana, which Ghana has been left behind, and we need to help Ghana and other parts of Africa catch up.
Okay, with gap years and sabbaticals a key talking point today on account.
Richard made headlines in 2007 when he stunned the business world and stepped down after 10 years of running global insurance giant Aviva. At the youthful age of 57, and with wife Kay by his side, Richard decided to take the gap year he never had and do volunteer work in Africa for the charity Concern Universal. Their journey has taken them to the remote reaches of Kenya, Malawi, Mozambique, and now Ghana.
This is beyond the back of beyond.
Some people might say we're crazy, but now we have more to offer than we would have done as young people.
There's been some real kind of hands-on stuff, because I wanted to get out of this sort of, white-handed, soft-fingered thing behind the desk and actually try and see what it was like.
Here in Ghana, what we see right away is that the country, like the rest of Africa, is under assault from the destructive effects of climate change.
Yeah, look, this is a pretty dry riverbed here.
Yeah.
Whoops.
So this is the area that the flooding occurred.
Whoops, hold on.
We've come upon a dried river crossing. There used to be a bridge here, but a flash flood wiped it away, leaving just pockets of soft sand and stagnant water. Oh, wow.
Wow.
God, it's
pretty scorching.
Vast as well.
Scorching indeed.
I mean, you can really feel the impact, don't you, when you're out here? I mean, this, all the flooding.
And remember, in this area, they've come from massive drought, absolutely devastating drought, because they've seen the global warming from climate change. Areas got really dry, really arid. This used to be a great forest all around us. All of that is gone. And then, out of the blue, we get the volatility of the climate change. They get a downpour that even this incredibly arid ground can't absorb. Whoosh! And it takes away their schools, their houses, their crops, just about everything they've got.
As the former boss of Aviva, Britain's biggest insurer and number 5 in the world, Richard knows a thing or two about dealing with the aftermath of floods. But here, their impact is much more devastating. All of this took place in an area where people don't have insurance.
No, well, absolutely not only no insurance, but of course when it comes to working on the prevention, whereas in the UK we've got the Department of the Environment, the insurance companies getting together and really pressurising for things to happen, defences to be improved. Here, the local community, basically assisted by NGOs like Concern Universal, they've got to find ways of helping themselves, reforesting, putting in plants to retain the soil, anything to lower the risk profile.
No such preventative measures have taken root here yet. Another torrent of rain could wash over this already vulnerable land and make the area completely impassable. And as we find out, When storm clouds come, when the sky opens up and lets loose, the rain here can be like a wall of water. But even though it's the rainy season, this is the only time we actually see rain during our visit. The usual view is mile after mile of sun-parched, water-starved land. Climate change is making a bad situation worse. Northern Ghana has had 5 consecutive years of above-average temperatures and below-average rainfall, as much as 40% below, making it more susceptible to severe and unpredictable weather events, and more unforgiving to the people in the villages. This is a grain silo. It's used to store grain. Usually it would be full to the brim. However, due to the erratic rainfalls, due to the severe flooding, it's now empty, as you just saw. Food is a hard thing to come by. The inconvenient truth is that the burden of climate change falls on Africa's poor. Yet as the lowest carbon emitter globally, it's not Africa's carbon production that has done this. It's the rest of the world's, and Africa must adapt.
If communities in Africa do not adapt successfully to climate change, there's going to be more flooding, there's going to be more drought, and there's going to be acute numbers of people in real starvation and facing great misery.
Come on!
We arrive at the Manwe community in Wa.
Oh, it's just down here on the left. Okay.
This is where Concern Universal, alongside the local organization ProNet, has helped create a dry season vegetable garden. It's a sustainable solution to climate change and poverty that's more permanent and cost-effective than just dumping bags of food out of a plane.
Food aid has a place in terms of responding to emergencies. However, food aid, from the point of view of creating dependency, is the wrong way around. It needs to be turned on its head. Communities really need to make sure that they can grow their own food, using their own water, using their own systems, then they can be more resilient against disasters.
This garden was a recovery response in the wake of the 2007 floods. The initial investment? A supply of seeds, fertilizer and gardening tools, some instruction on how to use them, how to dig a well and irrigate, and how to keep records. The potential payoff? The hope is this garden will not only yield a harvest during the so-called hungry season, when there's no rain, but an actual cash crop like these peppers, and the start of a small enterprise culture.
Can you tell me how much a kilogram of this will sell for?
30,000. 30,000 indoors.
$3. Yeah. So you can get a kilogram of this. If you can grow a kilogram of this, you can get $3.
Yes.
The farmer tells Richard the entire garden could net $300 at market. This operation is in its early stages and quite modest compared to the FTSE 100 company Richard left behind, but Concern Universal is betting that business can make a real difference here.
The biggest thing that somebody like Richard brings is the link between a big business like Aviva and what a farmer within a community is doing. The key thing is for the farmer to know what is needed when. So, for example, there will be a time when the communities or the market, what it needs is tomatoes. So the farmer has to deduce at that stage, let me grow tomato, which is gonna sell. So it's meeting food security within the home, but also enabling the farmer to be able to sell and gain more income. So you look now at the farmer more of a business person.
While we're at the garden, we catch sight of one of the banes of Africa's existence, a bushfire.
You can just about catch the flame from here.
It's horribly close to the sustainable dry farming that's just started.
You're absolutely right. It's close to the new farming. It's very common for these bushfires to get out of control.
The terrain makes easy prey here, where flames feast on the delicate and dry trees and brush. Yet all too often, the cause is all too human.
There's been an unfortunate habit here of using bushfires to clear away the land. Absolutely disastrous, completely unsustainable, very bad for the climate, and one of the things that development organisations like Concern Universal are really trying hard to educate people out of. And then just behind our backs here, we've got very limited water supply, and what can we see happening? The cows are going straight in the water, and that really makes it a great source of infection for everybody else. People are going to use this for irrigation, for drinking, for washing. If they're smart, they'll be boiling it, but most people won't have the fuel to boil it. If they do need to boil it, then it's more carbon, more climate change.
Water is the other bane of Africa's existence, and the two, fire and water, are a calamitous combination. Less than half of Ghana's rural populations have access to water suitable for drinking. Most people here drink whatever's collected from the watering holes and small lakes. They realize it's unsanitary, even dangerous to their health, but they don't have a choice.
Okay, all right.
What are they saying, Macduff? What are they saying?
No, the women are actually saying they want to have safe water. This is where they come to take water for use within the home. They are competing with animals, and they're saying we want safe water because once that is done, it prevents waterborne diseases.
The struggle here is not just about water quality, but also water availability. We drive to a place where the community tried to dig deep into the earth for water. The director of ProNet North, Martin Derry, shows me what the country's water crisis looks like below the Earth's surface.
So what are we looking at here?
What we're looking at here is a dry borehole. A borehole is a shaft dug underground to meet with the water table so that water can be pumped out. We're expecting to meet the water table before 60 meters, but we dug deeper than 90 meters and we did not get any water.
So you went all the way down beyond 90 meters and all you got was dust?
Yeah.
When the rains don't come, a single borehole like this would be enough to meet the water needs of 300 to 400 people. But this community has over 1,000.
What does a project like this mean for your community, and what does it mean when it fails?
In fact, that day, if you were here, the entire community was around here, hoping and praying that there will be some water. Because they have only one borehole, which is clearly insufficient for their water requirements. So when we went deeper than 90 meters and we did not get water, it was, as we say locally here, it was like a funeral. It affects their education. Girls cannot go to school when there's no water.
Girls have to fetch enough water for the home before they get a chance to go to school. Without sufficient community boreholes, they often have to walk long distances to get even the animal-contaminated water we saw earlier. But soon, that too may dry up. Experts predict that climate change will cause water flow into the major basins in Ghana to diminish by as much as 40% by 2050. There are no easy solutions, no quick fixes. To solve the steady stream of issues here will require more than just water pumps and boreholes.
The sharp, fast, easy to measure interventions actually are those that last the least long. So sticking boreholes in the ground, terribly worthy objective, but it isn't going to change how people live. You can make a permanent change if it starts from the bottom up.
For a former footsie boss like Richard, from the bottom up means from business down, and that means microfinance and trade.
Africa needs to develop to a point where it's a commercial proposition.